Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and today we're going to finish looking at the actual text of um, of the book of Amos, and we will take another couple of days to talk about our study of the prophets who reached out to or from the northern kingdom. We're going to finish the text today. Next time we are together, we are going to talk about the lessons that we have learned from the book of Amos and kind of sum up the book. And then in the session after that, we'll talk about the fate of the northern kingdom and what happened to them. And then we'll start our new study, and we'll be headed to the New Testament for a while. So let's read the last verses of the book of Amos. Amos chapter 9, verses 11 and through 15, we have 5 verses of hope. In that day, I will raise up the fallen booth of David and wall up its breaches, and I will also raise up its ruins and rebuild it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations who are called by my name, declares the Lord who does this. Behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when the plowman will overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him who sows seed, when the mountains will drip with sweet wine, and all the hills will be dissolved. And I will restore the captivity of my people Israel, and they will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them, and they will plant vineyards and drink their wine, and make gardens and eat their fruit. And I also plant them on their land, and they will not again be rooted out from their land which I have given them, says the Lord your God. Well, there's the essence of the vision is not in question. It could not be clearer. But um, the there the meaning and the specific application, the times addressed, is he talking about the rebuilding of the city of Jerusalem? Is he talking about the Messianic age? Is he conflating the two? Because not everything that's true about one is true about the other. I don't know that I can fully answer this. I know that some things he's saying cannot be applied to the nation of Israel. They did come back from Babylonian captivity. They did rebuild the city of Jerusalem. We know from Luke chapter 2 that Anna of the tribe of Asher was living in Jerusalem. We know that the rebuilding and the return included people, stragglers, remnants, a few anyway, from the 10 northern tribes. But that only lasted until the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. And they didn't live in that land until 1948. Whatever you think about the future, and I think the Bible is clear. Whatever you think about the future, this cannot be this because it's not true. They didn't stay in Jerusalem perpetually. They didn't. So I think that in the end, he has to ultimately be talking about the Messianic age that would include Jews of all tribes, um, and 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 Gentiles as well that were brought in. But the book ends with a message of hope, where God puts things back together. The booth of David. Is that they observed the feast of booths every year in which they would build. They basically would camp out and build lean-tos and things out of branches, and remind themselves of when they were wanderers in the wilderness. So I think this is a metaphor inside a metaphor. But David is the focus, um, and um, and and we have continuity with bringing the people up from Egypt, the establishing of the kingdom, David's perpetual throne, and God fixing things, and then we have um, the plowman will overtake the reaper. You will not be able to finish reaping before it's time to sow again because the harvest is going to be so plentiful. The mountains are going to drip not with water, but with sweet wine. The hills are being dissolved. I'm not sure unless that's something evocative of, the message of the precursor to the Messiah. Every hill will be brought low. All the valleys will be brought up, and you'll have a smooth plain. For the arrival of the Messiah. Perhaps it's evocative of that we have elsewhere in the prophets. Um, but I just believe my people Israel is spiritual Israel, not physical Israel, because otherwise this prophecy cannot be true. Israel has not perpetually inhabited the city of Jerusalem from the return of the exiles to this day. They just haven't. And so I do think that we're looking forward to the Messianic age and God's spiritual kingdom, the spiritual Israel. Okay. Well, we will next time we are together, as I said earlier in this session, talk about lessons that we can learn from Amos. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.